The station was a ghost, desolate, empty. The flickering lights cast eerie shadows, making the silence even more profound. Jack Carter checked his watch. 11:58 p.m. The minute hand seemed to move slower, as if time itself was reluctant to proceed. He glanced at the flickering electronic board. The erratic light made it hard to read, but he knew what it said. Last train, departing soon, destination unknown. The words seemed ominous, as if warning him of what lay ahead. A low rumble echoed through the station as the train approached. The sound grew louder, reverberating off the empty walls. It screeched to a halt, its arrival heralding an unsettling silence. The air felt thick with anticipation. The doors hissed open, revealing an empty car, dimly lit and shrouded in shadows. The interior was cold and unwelcoming. Jack hesitated, an unnerving feeling crawling up his spine. He felt as if unseen eyes were watching him. He stepped onto the train. The air inside was stale, carrying a faint metallic scent. The doors slid shut with a heavy thud, sealing him within its metallic embrace. The sound echoed, amplifying the sense of isolation. The train lurched forward, picking up speed with an unnatural swiftness. The sudden acceleration made Jack grip the nearest pole for balance. Jack felt a chill run down his spine as he moved deeper into the train, searching for a seat amidst the unsettling emptiness. Each step echoed, amplifying the eerie silence. A figure emerged from the shadows at the end of the car. Tall, gaunt, with piercing blue eyes that seemed to see right through Jack. His uniform was crisp and clean, a stark contrast to the aging train.
"Ticket, please."
The conductor rasped, his voice a low growl. Jack fumbled in his pocket, his unease growing with each passing second. "Jack Carter, I didn't purchase one," Jack stammered, feeling a strange sense of guilt wash over him. The conductor's lips curled into a knowing smile.
"That's all right, Mr. Carter. This is a special train. Your ticket has already been paid for."
Jack's eyes widened. How did he know his name? The train rattled and swayed, the rhythmic clatter doing little to soothe Jack's nerves. The shadows seemed to deepen, and he could have sworn he heard whispers coming from the empty seats around him. A young girl, her face pale and drawn, appeared in the seat opposite him. Her eyes, wide and full of fear, locked onto Jack's.
"Don't trust him. He's taking you somewhere you don't want to go."
Before Jack could respond, she vanished, leaving him with a growing sense of dread. The conductor reappeared, his smile wider now, more predatory.
"Don't worry, Mr. Carter, we're almost there."
Section 4, A Glimmer of Recognition. Jack's hand instinctively went to his briefcase. It was a reflex, a habit formed over years of travel and countless journeys. The briefcase was more than just a container for his belongings. It was a piece of his identity, a constant in the ever-changing landscape of his life. He opened it, revealing a collection of personal items, a worn photo of his wife and daughter, a half-written novel, and a few other trinkets that held sentimental value. Each item told a story, a chapter of his life that he held dear. And then there was the tattered newspaper clipping. It was old, yellowed with age and frayed at the edges, but the headline was still clear. The headline screamed at him, "Tragic train crash claims dozens." It was a headline that had haunted him for years, a constant reminder of a tragedy that had changed his life forever. As he read the article, his blood ran cold. The details were etched into his memory, but seeing them in print brought the horror back to life. The date of the crash, the time, the train number, it all matched up. It was as if the universe was playing a cruel joke on him, forcing him to relive the nightmare. The photo accompanying the article showed a mangled wreck, barely recognizable as a train. The twisted metal and debris were a stark contrast to the sleek modern trains he was used to. And then he saw it. A glimmer of recognition in the blurred image of a man being pulled from the wreckage. It was him. The realization hit him like a freight train, leaving him breathless and disoriented. Jack felt a cold sweat break out on his skin, his heart pounded in his chest, each beat echoing the fear that gripped him. He was going to die on this train. The thought was paralyzing, a dark cloud that overshadowed everything else. He had to do something. But what? The sense of impending doom was overwhelming, and he felt utterly powerless. Section 5, Unveiling the Truth. Fear turned to anger. He stood up, confronting the conductor.
"What is this?"
Jack demanded, his voice shaking with rage.
"What kind of game are you playing?"
The conductor's smile faded, replaced by an expression of cold indifference.
"No game, Mr. Carter. This is your fate. You boarded this train at the exact moment of your death. You can't change it, you can't escape it, you can only accept it."
Jack sank back into his seat, defeated. The newspaper clipping fluttered to the floor, the image of his own lifeless face staring up at him. He closed his eyes, accepting the inevitable. Section 6. Fading away. The train screeched to a halt, the sudden stop jarring Jack back to awareness. He had been lost in his thoughts, the rhythmic clatter of the tracks lulling him into a trance-like state. The abrupt stop was like a jolt back to reality. He opened his eyes and looked out the window. The night was dark, but the station ahead was illuminated in a way that seemed almost otherworldly. The station was bathed in an ethereal white light. It was peaceful, serene, the kind of peace that felt almost unnatural, as if time itself had paused. The conductor stood before him, his face now etched with a strange sadness. It was a look that spoke of untold stories and unspoken words.
It's time to go, Mr. Carter. The words were simple, yet they carried a weight that Jack could feel deep in his bones.
He said softly. The gentleness in his voice was almost comforting, a stark contrast to the gravity of the situation. Jack nodded, a sense of calm washing over him. It was as if he had been waiting for this moment, a moment of acceptance and understanding. He stood up and followed the conductor off the train and into the light. The light was blinding, yet it felt warm and inviting, like a long-lost friend. The train vanished, leaving behind only an empty platform and a single newspaper blowing in the wind. The silence was deafening, a stark reminder of what had transpired. The headline read, 20th anniversary of train crash that claimed 43 lives. The words seemed to linger in the air, a haunting echo of the past.